And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Alright, so today we are back with algorithms in FreeCodeCamp. I love the challenges FreeCodeCamp gives you because it makes you think a little bit instead of just doing, and that's nice. It really gets your brain going and it's really fun challenges to try out. Sometimes extremely difficult as well. So, just quick disclaimer again, if you have not finished this yet yourself, then please first attempt it yourself before coming and watching this video, because I will be showing you how to do it, but you should first try and do it yourself and see if you can get it correct. Algorithms inventory update. Compare and update the inventory stored in a 2D array against a second 2D array of a fresh delivery. Update the current existing inventory items quantities in array 1. If the item cannot be found, add a new item and the quantity into the inventory array. The returned inventory array should be in alphabetical order by item. Now, I didn't understand this when I read it, so that's why I came to look at the code. Now, the code, basically, they give you a function with array 1 and array 2. Then you should return array 1, but you know we can always change that if we must, but we won't have to this time. And this is, all the inventory items must be accounted for or I'm gonna get fired. I can't do that. How am I going to take care of my family? So I have to do this. I have to do it correctly. So this gives you two variables, which is arrays, and it says current inventory, which has you have 21 bowling balls and 2 dirty socks, 1 hairpin, 5 microphones. Then there's the new inventory, which you'll have to add to your current inventory. So 2 hairpins, we already have hairpins, so this will become 3 hairpins. Then half-eaten apple, there's no half-eaten apple, so now we're going to add in 3 half-eaten apples. Then 67 bowling balls, so now there's going to be 88 bowling balls, because, you know. And then there is toothpaste, which we'll add at the end again. Now, as always, I created my beautiful folder right here, and here's an example of the output right here. That's the example of the output we're going to get. This is from something that actually works and takes this that we just saw, these inventories. Okay, so let's just go to our trash folder. And first, let's run it to make sure it works. So this time I'm not going to do script again. Last time I made that mistake. So node, and you just run script.js. Nothing happened, which isn't a bad thing because we didn't tell anything to happen. So let's go here. Now, first thing I think we'll need to do is probably loop through both of the arrays. So of course you can use a for each loop or a for loop, whichever floats your boat. But for me, a for each loop never has floated my boat in any other language than PHP. So I'm going to use a for loop. So for, and we can just say let I equal 0 while I is less than r2.length I plus plus. You'll understand why I said r2.length, because remember these two can also vary in length as well, so this might happen with just something else here, like a BO ball, you know, so just keep that in mind. And then you're gonna go for, and then let j please, I don't want k yet, equals 0 while j is less than r2 or 1.length j plus plus. So then we can go if, and then if array 2 at index I, and then 1. Why do we say 1? Because let's go here. This is array 2, right? If array 2 at index I, let's say index I at this moment is 1, so this would be, this is going to be confused. Let's go 0. Index I is 0, so this is where I is right now. Then we say 1. This is index 0 of index I, so this is index 1 of index I. So it's going to return hairpin. So if that is the same as R1 at index J1, so we're going to loop through R1 continuously because we want to see if it already exists inside of R1. Then if it does exist, then we have to go R1 at index I mean index J1, no, 0 I mean, plus equals R2 at index I 0. Why do I say this? This is because we're going to add them, and 0 of any of these values, J or I, would be this number right here, you know. So we're going to add. So we're just going to add to in our array 1. And now that I think about it, let's go here and let's add set equal to false. Basically, what's this going to do? This is just going to check whether we have already set it or not. So if we have already set this, then it's going to become true. So set equals true. You'll understand why I'm doing this right now, because we are going to do something that is a little bit tricky and could be buggy, but it is not, because it works perfectly. So here we can go, and not inside of that for loop, outside of the J for loop. If not set, then, so if set is not true, then R at R1 at, let's say, yeah, we can just go R1 dot push, and we can push, yeah, I just got a little confused here, R1, and we can push R2 at index I. Do you see why we sit in R2 here first? Because we're still in the R2 loop, and R2I is still the same value. If we did this R2 and R1, if we switch those two, then this right here wouldn't have worked, because then we wouldn't know what that value was actually on the end of the day. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing, I understand. And see here, if we have already set something here, we don't then want to do, once it breaks out of this for loop, to add whatever we have set to the array again, because then it's going to create duplicates. We don't want duplicates, so we create a variable, and if you think using an else here, that's not going to work, or an else if, and then not set, that's also not going to work. You have to be outside of this for loop. That is why I did this. Create a new variable that sets to false each time I runs, then make it true whenever R1 has been manipulated, and then if R1 has not been manipulated, then you can push whatever is in R2 at that index. Now let's quickly try and run this and see what we get. Do we get the same output as here or not? So node, and we just go scripted.js again. Oh, and we don't get anything back. Why is that? That is because we have to console the log R1, otherwise we won't see it. So let's run it again. 88 bowling ball, 2 dirty socks, 3 hairpin, microphone. Oh, but you see there's a problem. Right here it says it should be in alphabetical order, each item. Now that's something new, isn't it? No, not really. We can do that quite easily. So you can go r1.sort, and I know you guys know that, or at least some of you should know, that I like to make my code long and understandable, very understandable. But here I'm going to show you a very shorthand method, because you should never stay at one method of coding. If you're going to just code in one way forever, it's not going to work, because you'll need to learn how to do other ways. I already know how to do most other ways, but I have to practice them in order to get better. So then you have to go A, comma B. So basically, what is this going to do? This is just going to go, let's say here is array 1, right? It's just going to take in this and this. So A and B, so it's going to get those two from it. And then we can make a shorthand method or function, whatever you want to call it. And then we want to go if a at index 1 is, and here's where you can kind of have a little bit of a leeway, but the way I like to see it is, because if you have followed my brainfuck tutorial on my my other channel, then you would know that every character has a value assigned to it. Like 116 is a character, 32 is a space, I think 96 is an A, you know, so each character has a value assigned to it. So it will know because A and B. So if A would be 97 in character value, or an ASCII value, whatever you want to call it, and then B would be 98. So if you're going to check here if A is smaller than B, which is if 97 is smaller than 98, then it should return true, right? It should return 1 or 2, or 1 or -1. So you should go like this. So if A is less than B at index 1, so we check if this is less than this, then, because it's going to now compare strings, right? So just keep that in mind. Then return 1, else return -1. Let's see if it sorted it. If it didn't sort it, we can just flip the sign. Now, aha! So yeah, this is in order now. You can see there, hairpin, half. You know what? No, that's not in order. I didn't look. Sorry, I'm dumb sometimes. So you just gotta switch this one right now. So you can either switch this bigger than sign or smaller than sign, whichever you want to call it, or you can do this. You can make that -1 and that 1. But I find it easier just to flip this, because then I don't need to, you know, struggle understanding. And now see, bowling ball is at the top and toothpaste is at the bottom. And here there's hairpin and half-eaten apple. Perfectly in order. Now let's see if this works. Let's copy this. And then I'm going to explain to you guys how everything works, for in case you didn't understand. You can paste this right here and Control Enter. And we did it. We actually did it. We didn't have any problems or anything like that. So now let me show you guys how everything works. For in case you don't understand, I'll also explain this in longer terms if you don't understand the short term right here. Okay, so first it loops through array 2. So this array, new inventory. It loops through it. Then the first thing to do, it sets the variable set to false. Okay, then it starts looping through array 1, this one. Then it checks if array 2 at index I. So if this one right here, let's say it's now 0, is the same as array 1 or at index J1, that would be right here right now, is the same, then add this amount to it and set true to false, but it isn't. So now what it's going to do is going to check here. So it's looking for hairpin. It's going to be like, no, that's not it either, and it's going to be like, yes, that is it. And now because it found it, it's going to do this. It's going to check there, and it's going to add this right here, 1, and where's hairpin here? There, 2, 1 and 2. So this is going to become 3. And then it's going to set equal to false. I mean true. I'm getting confused here myself. No, not really confused, but I'm just confused myself a little bit by the set variable. I should change that someday. So it's going to set to true, and then it's not going to find any other ones here, but if it does, it's going to add them as well. But anyway, so then it's going to do all of that, and once it finishes this loop, after that it's finished checking if array 1 contains what it needs, then it's going to continue. And because it did find hairpin, it's going to see, okay, but set is now true, so we shouldn't do this, because this is if not set, if false, you know. So then it's not going to do this, and it's just going to continue. Then it's going to go again. Now I is 2, and now j is back to 0, or I is 1 and j is back to 0. Then it's going to set back to false, and then it's going to check. So it's pointing now to bowling ball, and here to half-eaten apple. Then it's going to go through array 1 again, and it's going to see, hey, there's no half-eaten apple. So that's what it's going to do here. It's going to see no half-eaten apple. Then it's going to continue, but because set is false, it would not have changed to true. And because set is false, and this asks for a false value in set, and it's going to push that to array 1. So now this is what's happening. That's what happened. And now it's going to go again and again and again. Okay, and then after it has done all of that processing to figure this out, what it's going to do next is it's going to go array1 dot sort. And let me explain this to you in longer terms, like the way I would have done it if I didn't try this one. I would have gone function, and I would go sort func for sort function AB. It's going to take in 2 variables. Then it would have said if A at index 1, because we're going to take in arrays, is more than B at index 1, then return 1, else return -1. And just to show you that this does work, we can actually go sort func, and we don't have to add the variables because sort will do that for us. And then we can just do that, and we get the same output as here. Perfect. So if you want to do that in a longer version instead of a shorter version, by all means go. I just thought the shorter version would be a nice new to my life. And then after I have sorted it, it returns what we need. And that's basically all. I hope you guys understood that at least. And thank you all for watching. See you all in the next video.